Hello everyone, this is Abhishek Tiwari. I'm an assistant professor at Metallurgical and Materials Engineering Department at Indian Institute of Technology, Roper, and I'm going to talk about effect of material inhomogeneity under creep condition. So if we have uh, a homogeneous material which is cracked, homogeneous meaning the material is same everywhere and the properties are same everywhere, and if I evaluate the value of J integral at a contour which is very close to the crack tip and at a contour which is far away from the crack tip, I will get the same value because this J integral defines the singularity, and there is only one singularity. So inside the contour there is only one source or sink of energy, in this case is the crack tip, and therefore as long as the contour encompasses only one singularity, I will always get the same value, and that can be seen from the stress distribution of a homogeneous material which looks like this. Now imagine that I have a sharp transition of material, so it can represent a dissimilar metal weld along an interface, and here I have a transition from material 1 to material 2, and material 1 is having higher values of mechanical properties. So Young's modulus or yield strength is higher in comparison to material 2. It means that the crack tip, if it grows and crosses the interface, it will be a stiffer to compliant transition of the crack tip. In a very rough way, I can call it hard to soft transition. In such scenario, you look at this picture, is that now you see that the stress distribution is asymmetric, and for the same amount of J far, I will have more energy available at the crack tip because here there is no energy. So because the stress is zero, the strains are also smaller, so you can imagine the strain energy density to be very small here. So therefore more energy will be available on this crack tip, and therefore the crack will have higher tendency to grow. And reverse would happen if I change the material 2. If the material 2 has higher Young's modulus, then reverse will happen and less energy will be available. So under such conditions, J tip is not equal to J far, but there is an additional term. Whether or not it is positive or negative depends upon what kind of transition it is. If it is hard to soft transition, C inhomogeneity term is negative. That means J tip will be having more value. So C inhomogeneity term will be positive, and reverse would happen if it is soft to hard transition. So we can use this property, which we call material inhomogeneity effect, to improve the fracture behavior of the material, to improve the crack resistance of the material, and we can induce material inhomogeneity. One way is this, by placing a sharp transition of the material, or by creating a hole. There also I will have a sharp transition of the material, or by embedding a very hard material inside, like an inclusion, like a reinforcement of hard part. So we calculate J tip and J far, and the difference in these two defines how much material inhomogeneity is there. So we did some calculation long back for a polypropylene matrix and softer polymeric interlayer IL1 and IL2, and IL1 is much softer than IL2. And for a change, we also calculated for a harder aluminum alloy, and you will see that when the transition is from hard to soft, that means for the cases IL1 and IL2, the tendency, the behavior is same. As the crack grows closer to the first interface, the crack driving force increases. Ideally, if this is a homogeneous material, J tip should be equal to J far, so you should always get a value of 1. But because there is an interlayer, because there is an inhomogeneity, the crack driving force increases as the crack comes in proximity with the material inhomogeneity, and when it is hard to soft, the crack driving force increases until it reaches the first interface, then it drops, then it regains its value to 1 as soon as the crack tip has crossed both the inhomogeneity, that means interface 1 and interface 2. Reverse happens when the interlayer is harder in comparison to the matrix. The other problem with conventional J integral is that it assumes non-linear elasticity, which means the complete area under stress strain curve. Although for elastic plastic or elastic creep material, not all energy is available for the crack tip, and plastic energy is not available because that is dissipated, also the creep energy. So only elastic energy is available for the crack tip to grow, and that causes a value which is much away from the true crack driving force of the material for elastic plastic and elastic creep materials. Let us look at what happens when the material is creeping instead of plastically deforming. So we have a close cousin of J integral, which is called C star integral, and there is another one which is CT integral, and the basic difference is that some of the terms in the J integral has been replaced with the rate of change of those values. For example, phi dot is the rate of change of strain energy density calculated using this formula, and U is the rate of change of displacement. But the point to note here is that C star is not equal to the rate of change of J integral. So J for a static crack for a non-linear elastic material does define crack driving force, but C star does not define crack, is not related to the crack driving force at all. dJ by dt, if you take the derivative of J integral with respect to time, you will have 4 terms, and therefore dJ by dt is not equal to C star. But dJ by dt will define the rate of change of crack driving force, at least for some ideal conditions. Or we cannot use it. So the question is, which parameter can be used to truly define the crack driving force under creep condition? Second question is, does material inhomogeneity effect give the same effect to a crack in under creep condition also, and can we use that to improve the crack resistance of the material? So we have used the concept of configurational forces. It is a very old concept and also very simple concept that so if you imagine an interstitial atom which is inside the material and at the surface, so there is a change in energy state. At the surface, the surrounding atoms, at least half of them are not there, unlike when the interstitial atom is inside and from all the sides the bigger atoms are pushing it. So at this point, this atom is happier. So there is a tendency, there is a force, because there is an energy gradient, there is a force which is compelling this interstitial atom to go to the surface. Whether or not this atom will go to the surface is a different game, because there might not be a path for the atom to go. There might be a lot of obstacles. Nonetheless, there is a force, and that force is configurational force. We calculate configurational force using these formula in finite element analysis by post-processing the material, the parameter value at the integration points, and the main concept is here. So C is the configurational stress. It is also the Eshelby energy momentum tensor, and the divergence of that gives me the configurational force term. So divergence basically means the inwardness or outwardness of whatever parameters divergence is being calculated. So that would mean when this value is 0, it would mean that there is no inwardness or outwardness of the energy which is coming in and going out. And if this is a non-zero value, then there is a net configurational force there at that material point. So that's how we calculate it. Now look at a cracked specimen, and let us say that there is a creep zone. So initially, if the material is elastic plastic and the stress applied on the system is higher than the yield strength, there will be a plastic zone. But with time, if you keep the force constant, with time the creep zone will increase and it will encompass the plastic zone. Now if you have contours like gamma 1, gamma 2, gamma 5, which are encompassing that deformed zone, then the value of J integral for all these contours will be same. The rate of change of J integral will also be same, and they will be defining the crack driving force, because the crack will be moving with the deformed zone as long as the deformed zone is inside the contour. And therefore we can use nonlinear elastic theory as long as our contour, so we can use nonlinear elastic theory for small scale creep condition. So we did that for a material, for a specimen where a material transition happens from material 1 to material 2, and material 1 is in all other way, so it is actually representing VASP alloy, nickel superalloy with the creep properties and elastic modulus, and material 2 is a hypothetical material with elastic modulus of steel, but the Norton's law coefficient we have kept constant in these two, and we have just taken the creep exponent to a smaller value. That means the creep strain will be more in material 1 in comparison to material 2. So, so for this situation we calculated the J integral, and you see in the first step this is the point where the loading is happening, and after that we keep the force constant, and you see that the J integral calculated from abacus is exactly equal to what we get from the configurational forces, because our creep zone is small and all the contours are encompassing the creep zone. And this is for one particular model. And here in this plot you see the CT integral, which is not path independent. And this is because even though the time is significantly larger, so we have simulated for 100 to simulate 100 hours, but because the creep zone is very small, it is not extensive creep condition, and that's why it is showing path dependence for the CT integral. But if you see the dj by dt, that doesn't show that much of path independent. The blue line shows a value much different from the other values because there is a back phase creep. So the far field node set might be hitting this blue zone, which is happening because of the creep deformation on the back hand side of the specimen, and that is different because that is a static deformation zone that is not moving with the crack tip. So that is why that is happening, but dj by dt is showing more path independence than CT integral. And the effect on the crack driving force is calculated for a constant value of JFR at 17 hours. So after deforming the material to 17 hours, we calculated the J tip and JFR, and the ratio shows that the crack driving force increases as the crack grows closer to the interface. So this was for elastic creep condition. We did it for a hypothetical situation where material 1 is deforming only plastically, so elastic plastic, no creep, and the material 2, which is on the right hand side of the interface, is deforming in elastic creep condition and there is no plasticity. And for this scenario, we again calculated the J integral. So this is the loading step where we apply the force of 40 kilonewton, and then we keep the force constant, and you see that the J integral is path independent in this case also. And C integral is also showing path independence except the far field C integral, but the problem is that C integral is not taking into account the plasticity of this material on the material 1. So that is not included in the formulation of C integral because it only takes care of the creep strain term. And so, but well, you can calculate. One can calculate by its own code by taking the plastic strain also into the account. But J integral is taking everything in the account. So it is also taking this plasticity. It is also taking this creep deformation on both sides of the interface at the crack tip, and that shows a better representation of the crack driving force, and it also shows better path independence even for the far field integral for 2 mm, 5 mm, 10 mm far field integral. And the effect of this shows that first the crack driving force increases, but it appears that even when the crack has not come very closer to the interface, the behavior has reversed here. This is very different from what we found for elastic plastic case, but this needs, we have to confirm it more by taking more points at different crack tip location closer to the interface. And at the end, I would like to summarize that for elastic creep and elastic plastic creep condition, we found that also in the other work, we have found that dj by dt shows path independence even in the small scale creep condition, and it is related to the true crack driving force unlike CT integral, and it becomes equal to CT integral for extensive creep condition. So in extensive creep condition, this is equal to the CT integral, and crack driving force appears to decrease from when the crack transition happens from plastic to creep material, but this is a different result which we expected from, and we need more results to confirm this. And with this, I thank you very much for your patience, and I would be happy to answer any question if you have.